Well, did you know women are more likely to suffer a stroke than be diagnosed with breast cancer? The global community uses today, October 29th, to raise awareness. And with us this morning, model, actor, producer, and stroke survivor Claudia Mason and Dr. Carolyn Brockington, a stroke neurologist in New York. Thanks for joining us this morning, to both of you.
Well, thanks for having us.
You betcha. Claudia, I want to start with you. We're about the same age. Which is very young, by the way. But Claudia, you had a stroke. I was reading about this. What happened?
Yeah.
Tell me the story behind that. What happened?
Just the craziest thing. I was in a jazz class, and I've been in many jazz dance classes throughout my life. And there's a certain move where you throw your head around. It's a typical jazz move, a la Beyonce. Beyonce does it all the time.
Right.
And I didn't have many uneventful night's sleep. I had no aches and pains. The next day, though, on my way to an audition, I had the worst headache of my entire life, and my visual field was going in and out, blurry vision. And I thought it was a migraine. You know, healthy young woman, what else would it be? A stroke was not in my thought process whatsoever. And unfortunately, I just ignored it. The headache started to go away. The visual field cleared up, except there was a deficit still on the left side of my visual field. So I finally took myself to the hospital the next day. I walked in 24 hours later.
Yeah.
And when I was informed that I had a stroke, and we figured out it was from that jazz class, when I moved my head around, there was the artery dissected in that moment that led to the stroke. I wish I had taken myself right away to the hospital, because time is brain, and there are great things that the doctors can do to help heal the situation if you get yourself to the hospital right away, which is what my message is with all this. So you don't do what I did. Don't think you're just having a migraine if you have blurry vision, for heaven's sakes, you know, or the ACT FAST acronym that Dr. B will break down for you in a moment.
Yeah, before we get to Dr. How are you feeling today, Claudia, real quick?
I feel great. I felt great since then. I mean, I have no cognitive or muscular fallout. It just affected the visual field. I have a very slight deficit left to the left side of my visual field. But I'm fine, and I've been able to continue right away everything, doing modeling, acting, writing, producing, you know, nothing. It hasn't affected my life at all, but I'm very, very lucky.
Yeah, you are lucky.
That's not always the case.
Yeah, glad to hear you're doing okay. Doctor, I want to get to you.
Thank you.
How common is this? I mean, she was young, she was healthy. How common is this?
Well, what's interesting is that, you know, if anybody asks, friends, families, etc., I'm sure everybody knows someone has a stroke. So stroke is very common. But the other thing that people may not realize is that strokes can occur at any age. You know, people think of them just as you get over 80, maybe you just develop a stroke at that point, but really you can have a stroke at any age. So the important thing is that everybody needs to know what are the signs and symptoms of stroke and what do I do right away. So you probably know that there is a Together to End Stroke campaign that's sponsored by Covidien. And what they really do is to highlight this ACT FAST, because as Claudia was saying, time is brain. So that means that the moments that go by that the brain's not getting enough blood flow, the more likely that you're going to have a serious problem.
Yeah.
So when you think of FAST, F is for face, right? You look at someone's face, is it drooping on one side? That might be a stroke. A is for arms. Can they hold their arms up? Or is one arm weak? That might be a stroke. S is for speech. If someone's having a problem with slurred speech or understanding what people are saying to them or expressing themselves. And then T is for time. You know, this is a time period that everybody Googles symptoms and calls a friend. You don't have time for that. You really have to call 911 right away in order to go to the closest emergency room to get the appropriate treatment. Yeah. So it's very, very important. ACT FAST.
Yes, FAST, that acronym there. How can our viewers get involved? This is a very important initiative, especially here on World Stroke Day.
Yes, they need to go to strokeassociation.org in order to get all the information, not only on the signs and symptoms of stroke, but how to prevent a stroke. You know, up to 80% of strokes can be prevented by knowing your own risk factors and modifying them appropriately. So that's through lifestyle, diet, and sometimes medication. So strokeassociation.org would be able to give them all the information they need.
Yeah, we've got to wrap this up. We've got about 10 seconds. But Claudia, one last reminder for people. What's the most important thing here for people to remember?
To recognize the signs, to know ACT FAST, add to that the blurry visual field, because that's not in the acronym of FAST. Right. And to do something about it. Do not think it's nothing. Go to the hospital immediately. Help yourself. Or if it's not happening to you, you'll know these signs, and you'll recognize it if it's happening to someone else, even a stranger, and you tell them what to do. Go to the hospital.
Claudia, we're glad to see you're doing well today. Doctor, thanks for your time as well this morning.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You betcha. Mary, over to you.